Andy.
Hello.
Good job, yeah.
Your frighteningly cold hands.
I'm a little chilly. I'm very chilly. Ready? I don't know how much Josh told you about kind of what we do.
Just a little.
Okay, so are you familiar with Twitch?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not Twitch employees, but we are Twitch streamers.
Right.
Our premise of our Twitch stream is to allow people to play board games with us. So this is Nicole, our camera woman today, and her nickname is TP for Twitch Proxy.
Okay.
Basically what our chat does is people go into our chat room and they play as a player through her.
Right.
So they'll tell her what directions to take and whatnot, things like that.
Okay. How do you decide which one works? Just a multiple.
Vote systems.
Vote systems.
Taking
Got it.
polls. So we have quick polls, and so she'll set those up and.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, so we kind of took that same premise, we take those to the cons, and we're kind of the proxy for our audience here at the cons.
Okay.
So we have a really great opportunity to meet insiders like yourself and check out new upcoming games, established games, and kind of give people the look around.
Okay.
So why don't we start off, talk a little bit about yourself.
What do you want to know? I mean, I've been doing this since about 2005. I think I moved to Austin, Texas in 2005.
Okay.
Right after the military. And I've been working for Steve Jackson Games almost exclusively since then. I did a little work with Geek.CON up in Seattle, and then I took some time off and spent a year or two in school, but aside from that, I've been doing this since then.
What got you into board games? Gaming in general?
Gaming in general, I've been doing since we were kids. Grew up in a kind of a rural community in Minnesota, so if you can't go very far, you got to find people around you doing stuff. So board games was an option, and it was interesting to me, the strategy and the stuff you could do. And then getting together with your friends. Especially at that point in history, online wasn't a thing. So you went over to friends' houses and did stuff, and board games were fun.
I have 2 children. They never leave my house.
It's a different era.
Yeah, very much so. So what do you do here? Can you tell me a little bit about the company?
Steve Jackson Games is who I work for. It's not a huge company. It's a big company, but it's not huge.
What do you mean by that?
I would consider like Microsoft's, like giant companies have thousands of employees. Steve Jackson Games has like 30 something. We have dozens of employees. When you work at a company like that, you do a lot of jobs. So you don't do any one thing, and that's like you're not the head of this usually. So I do things like I'm the head of security. I stuff like that, help with groundskeeping, make sure that things like that get done. For the gaming portions, I do design and development, as well as I get to go to these shows and talk to people, trade shows, conventions, and then some of the sales stuff too.
So you do design and development.
When I can, a lot more development than design, but I do get to do design, and that's it's very hard, but it's very rewarding.
Do you have any projects that you're particularly proud of?
I really like the way Simon's Cat came out.
What is forgive me for being a little ignorant, what is Simon's Cat?
Simon's Cat is it's a trick avoidance type game. So we would all be playing cards around the table, either matching color or number, and we are trying not to get stuck with the pile of cards in the middle.
Okay.
If you've seen any of the Simon's Cat YouTube stuff, you are the animals around the house. You're getting blamed for the messes in the house.
Okay.
So if you took the trick, you would put it in front of you face up so that everybody knew what you were unable to deal with, and then you play another card from your hand. The round ends when everybody's finished playing all of their cards. Whoever has the most tricks is blamed for the mess in the entire house. You take one Simon card, which is a blame, and then you play another round. The first person to 3 Simon cards gets blamed for the entire wreckage in the house, and they lose the game.
Oh, so it's kind of like the opposite of winning. It's like...
You're trying not to lose.
There we go.
You're not trying to win.
Speaking of Simon's Cat, our viewers, asking us to pick up a copy. So we should pick up another...
Vetter wants to make sure that we get a copy of Simon's Cat.
We've got some promos here as well. Not every suit is equal. The different animals represent the different suits in this. So if you are colorblind, there is a unifying factor that is easily spottable on these cards.
Very cool.
The numbers range usually, 3 of the suits start at 1, but once you get into the higher suits, they start at 3. So they're larger, but they start higher up. Because of the way the suits work out, it can really make or break some of your hands. The promo cards we made for it are all zeros, 1 0 for each suit. We have 2 of them available here, so if you do have somebody looking for them, go ahead and grab them here, but people should keep their eyes open for the zeros from Simon's Cat.
So they're promo cards, they're going to be, you're going to have them out, or is it just special BGG.CON?
They're out and about. If you find Steve Jackson Games or one of our representatives anywhere, ask us about it.
Okay.
We are more than happy to hand out promotional cards to people who are interested in the games. Also, if you contact the company sometimes directly, if we have them, we can get them to you.
That's pretty cool.
Not all cards are available at all times, and when we run through the print run, we may or may not ever print them again. So that's kind of the promotion of the deal.
That works. Any other projects that you're specifically proud of?
We did development on Ghost Love Candy.
Okay.
That was originally a Kickstarter game.
Okay.
But the Kickstarter, after funding, they ran into financial problems and they were unable to put out Ghost Love Candy. After all that dust settled, we picked it up and we did development work on it. The core of the game was there, but we tweaked a couple of things to make it run smoother and make the components work a little better.
Okay.
And now we've printed it. Anybody who was in the Kickstarter program for that, anybody who was a backer, we took out of the initial print run, we sent them all 1 copy of.
So they got their...
They got it despite everything else. Steve, even though we didn't have to,
right.
It was important that people who backed that project got something for what they did. We weren't able to do all the stretch goals or whatever they were doing for the project, but they were able to get a copy of the game.
So what is the game?
Ghost Love Candy is you are all ghosts. You are haunting kids who are out trick-or-treating.
Okay.
You love candy. You can no longer eat candy, so you're trying to get them to eat candy for you.
Okay.
If too many ghosts pile on the same kid, taking candy over and over, they will scare the kid, and the kid will leave the neighborhood, and a new kid will come out.
Okay. So what determines whether a kid gets scared away? Do you know, or it's kind of like
you know ahead of time. Each of you start with a handful of. You pick a ghost, so maybe your ghost is Joy. Let's say in this one you're Buster. You have a hand of cards that is 1 through 9.
Okay.
You will play all but one of these over the course of the game. Once it's played, it's gone.
Okay.
The kids they'll be dealt into the neighborhood. This is their courage. If the total number on the ghosts below the kids meets or exceeds their courage, they're scared away. And then these are worth -2 points for you at the end of the game.
For each kid that you scare away.
Everybody's candy has different values. So this particular candy card says, I like gummies a lot, but candy corn not so much. Every candy card is different.
I like this first.
But so nobody else knows exactly what you're going after. And the art was very well done, so we were able to keep the art.
I was just going to say that the art is adorable. Who did the art for this project?
It's illustrated by Danny Devine.
Nicole, you want to show this?
Very cool with the game. Plays pretty quick. It's a great game for between families.
It's hard to focus.
He did a great job on the art. The art was fantastic, and we were able to keep that original art. It was a very strong selling point on this.
That's very cool.
But we tweaked some of the rules because we're strong with rules. So we were able to do Bill and Ted's excellent board game. That's
so cool.
You traveling the circuits of history, trying to collect persons of historical significance. It is a lot of spatial recognition in that one. So you're turning left and turning right and going straight and turning left and turning right, and then you get your turn of turning around and going backwards and taking a right.
I'm already lost.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost in, and that's the point. It's a fun little game where a lot of it is about how much control you really have, and the better you are doing in the game, the less control you have. So someone who's not doing very well, they don't have many historical figures.
Right.
They can walk bad guys into your path to mess you up. Because you have a lot less control when you're doing very well. They can say, okay, I just got to get them up there, and then I can pull them back down rather than bring me up.
Do you have a box for that on hand?
Bill and Ted's excellent board game.
Very cool. So who developed this game?
This was designed and developed by Sam Mitchke and myself. We do a lot of stuff together for Steve Jackson Games. 10-minute takedown. There's a couple of Mars Attacks things we did development and design work for. Lots of things have our name on them for design and development stuff. I'm very fortunate. He's a great guy to work with. Lots of fun, and even when we argue, we get good results out of the arguing.
Sometimes it's the best way. So you've got two opposing viewpoints, and sometimes you get the best thing out of it.
Too many people telling you you're doing something right can often be bad for you. Somebody telling you it's wrong, but this is why.
Yes.
So where you're going to actually look
Not
at it.
Not just being argumentative, but
right.
being...
No, you're stupid. Well, that doesn't work.
Right.
Well, it's wrong because red and green are common colorblind.
Yeah.
So we want to use different colors,
yes.
or we want to use a pattern, or we want to use, okay, well, I get that. But that doesn't really work with the art style, like things like that.
You grow from those conversations.
Right. And you get to know, well, Sam would not like this because of this, but let's let him say it and come through, and maybe he's got input. I'm much more numbers oriented. Sam is very much art oriented, art and colors.
That's a good mix.
Yeah, so I can do the numbers and the patterns and things like that. And he's not incapable of that. It's just easier for me to do them.
The stronger suit for
right.
one person. No,
but when I see blue, and Sam will go, no, that blue is, 2 tinges. It's just off. I'm like, okay, I don't see it, so I gotta trust
But you do, so I'm gonna trust
right.
you.
He's very good with art. We have a lot of fun with Photoshop stuff at the office where he's like, all right, we got to take a break here. Let's do this thing, and we'll make like something silly. There's tons of pictures all around at the office with like my face.
On a whole bunch of weird stuff?
On everything, yeah.
What's your favorite Photoshop picture?
Photoshop, the designer's edition of Ogre had my photo in the illustration. They had taken that at the office and done like Sinestro and all these other things with that thing.
Yeah.
So it was actually an illustration of a photo that was then Photoshopped. I really like those. Sam, I think, loves. He did a couple of real looking dolls, and he put my face on one, and it was like an action figure.
Like a G.I. Joe action figure?
Kind of, but it's really creepy what he did. It was less G.I. Joe. It wasn't that flattering at all. So that's probably Sam's favorite out of it.
That's probably, I've worked in both big companies and small companies, and I think that's my favorite thing about working with a small amount of people is that you get to have fun with the few people that you do have.
It's harder to have that fun. You can still have it at a big company, but there's a lot more chance for the trouble to happen.
Right.
I have astronomical leeway in the things I'm allowed to do. I mean, I would never get to do this type of thing at a big company. I would never, this would be split between other people. They'd have a special marketing person. We have special marketing people.
Right.
They do a lot of this, but I'm still able to do some of it.
When you've got to wear all the hats.
Right.
You've got to be able
And then when it's time to screw around, it's, well, all right, we realize sexual harassment is wrong. It's bad. You can't do that. Yes, we understand that. But things that would get you brought into an office in a larger company, at a smaller company, they're like, all right.
You learn who the people are that you're working with. And
yeah. And you also, as someone, I act on the edge all the time. People have to know they can walk up to you and go, all right, that really bugged me, you got to stop. And at a smaller company, you're more likely to see that. At a larger company, they're more likely to say, I'll just take it straight to HR.
Right.
So if somebody has a problem in a small company, like, hey, stop it.
Leave me alone. Go away.
Right. And that's what a lot of people miss in small companies when they go to big companies.
Yeah.
It's easier just to go through management to go deal with the problem and get stuff done. And thankfully, I mean, we can get a lot of things done.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. So I see a lot of the games here. The themes for a lot of the games are very popular TV shows or movies or is that like
there's
a running theme for the games?
There's a lot of licensing in the industry right now. So there's it's a very big push in the recent, I'd say the last 5 years, where licenses for games have kind of picked up in a big way. So you'll see a lot more Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
And especially once those things are available, Cryptozoic is a company we're working with here, so they got it, and then they were able to work a deal where we were able to work with it as well. So as licenses come in, some of them are very popular, and it is a great fit for some games where it helps bring. You don't want to just slap it on the top. Sometimes you do it, and it's like, well, it's just there. When the theme can help drive what's going on in the game and give you a reason to be able to use a different mechanic, it can really help it out.
Adds to it.
And when it
Is the Batman game one of those examples?
Yeah, the Batman game is similar to other games in a lot of respects. What sets it apart is the fact that you are a character, you're one of the villains, and Batman is actually after you, so you're trying to complete your heist without him getting you. Each of you having a unique ability makes this one far more unique than other press or luck dice games that we've done.
Okay.
So it stands out in a big way, and hopefully people enjoy it in a big way.
Did this game, because it's so you're working with Cryptozoic on this game. Who designed the game?
The original design was from Steve of Steve Jackson Games.
Okay.
Sam Mitchke and I again did development on this game. I believe I was the lead on it, but I'm not sure. And in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Small company.
Yeah. The two of us designed the character stuff, so the character powers, and did playtesting the character powers and argued through them, ran some numbers on them. Cryptozoic had the licenses, and that's how that works.
Okay.
You can look into all that stuff online, but licenses are a huge thing in board games right now. And they're bringing a lot to it, so it's good.
Very cool. Do you have any games, do Steve Jackson Games have any games that they really focus on?
Munchkin. Munchkin is our biggest seller by far.
Okay.
It is a lot of people have heard of it because it's a great intro to gaming. There are certain games that everybody's played or everybody's heard of, and Munchkin is kind of one of those in the industry.
It's definitely one that just getting into board games is one that even I've heard of.
Right, and it may have even been the first game a lot of people played. Even if you don't like it now, there was probably a time where you played it and you were like, oh yeah, we got together, and well, I don't really like that, but I like sitting at a table with everybody. I like this experience.
Like a gateway game?
I like not being on my phone with you and rather sitting here doing it, and that's what brings them in. And even if you move on past it, which is perfectly fine.
Because you guys have games.
Right. Everybody does. Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter if we do. If we bring you in and you go to some other company, that's great, because your love of the industry is going to help drive more of the industry.
Can I tell you that, and I mentioned this too, Flat Hat Games, that is probably one of my favorite things about Gen.CON and about this community, because I was asking him, hey, what's your favorite experience here at the con? And he was talking about sitting down and playing a new game that somebody else had out. And I said, it's so cool that so many people have that same mindset of, it's not, I want you to play my games and stay with my games. It's, I want you to come play board games. I want you to come and see why board games are cool. Everybody is very friendly, very open, very, play my game, play his games, just play games.
From nearly the outset of this industry, if you go back in old printed material for older Gen Cons, things like that, even old development materials, it's always had a very inclusive mindset. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or whatever. It just doesn't matter. What matters is that you're here to play and you're having a good time. And in this industry, especially from the very beginning, it's had a lot of... There's a saying called all ships rise on the rising tide. If board gaming as a whole gets stronger, our company will do better. So if I help you accomplish something great, and I give you a piece of advice and say, avoid that. That could be really trouble. And you avoid it and you're like, man, that really worked and the game is so much better for it.
Right.
The whole industry is stronger.
Yeah.
I didn't make any money off of that directly.
But
we
the board
did.
game, because the board game industry got a little better and now people are going to look around for that game, another game.
Right. Every game that is great is a better addition to the gaming community. And when you go on Facebook or you go on your social media or you go on wherever and somebody's talking about it and you say, oh, I'll go get that. Well, where are you going to go buy it? Well, I'll either buy it online or I'll go down to the store. There's a local store. I'll go down there.
Right.
Once you're there, you're seeing all these other games. It's a whole new world. Some people don't realize that the games I played as a kid, Monopoly, Scrabble, those sort of things, that's what they think of as board games.
Yeah.
Once you're like, no, this is about Batman, you're rolling some dice, it's like 10 minutes long, you're like, I didn't know this existed, this whole world exists. So yeah, Grandma, come sit down and play this. It's not what you're thinking.
Right. What has been, well, let me ask you that same question. What's been so far, and I know Gen.CON, this is only really day one, yesterday was kind of the exhibitors day. What's been your favorite experience so far?
This is BGG.CON, not Gen.CON. Close. Gen.CON is in the summer. It's gigantic, but it is very different.
Best interviewer ever.
Well, a lot of these kind of feel similar to some people. I've gone to enough of them, and a lot of them, they have their own personalities.
Yeah.
At Gen.CON, the exhibit hall is kind of the big thing. There are a lot of little stuff on the side, but the exhibit hall, this portion, is the major draw.
I've heard they went to Gen.CON this past year, and I stayed home, and I heard it was massive.
It's massive.
I've never been, and this is my first BGG.CON. So this has been really cool too.
Gen.CON in the U.S., Essen in Germany
are the biggest.
Nuremberg Toy Fair, I guess, is rather large, although I've never been. Those are large things. They're huge. They have a very convention type feel. They're big, but they're very. Gen.CON is very board game centric, yes, but it's also exhibit hall centric. There are a lot of other things to do. There's a ton of other things to do, but the exhibit hall is this major thing. When you go to BGG.CON, the exhibit halls are small, and they're not even open one of the days this year. And there's another little exhibit hall on the side.
Right.
The big draw is
the board game room, which
go out in there, and that's
ginormous.
Everybody playing games with everybody, and every floor has a board game room on it.
That was my favorite part of speaking to the inclusivity of this community, was being able to just walk into the board game room. When you first walk in there, it's incredibly intimidating because there's so many people and it's so big. But you take 2 or 3 steps in and there's somebody there who's like, players needed, come play with me. Doesn't matter who it is. I want to play this cool game. You look awesome. Let's sit down and play.
And if it's your first BGG, you'd be called an orphan. If you're coming by yourself, you're a first timer if it's your first one. If you're just, I wanted to go, and you're there by yourself, you'd be an orphan. They have an event at the start that is groups. Let's say you have 3 people in your group. There are a lot of 4-player games. You go pick up an orphan. You go find somebody who it's their first year and you say, come hang out with us this week. Just come out, hang out with us. You seem pretty neat. We're going to go play all these games. We could use a 4th player. Be cool, let's play games. BGG is like that. I love BGG for that because they've swapped the play and the sell on their heads. This helps me get to everybody out there, but really I love this one because that hall is the focus. And going out there and walking through and helping people, like when they say teachers want it, I'll walk around and I try to teach 1 game a day and go, okay, don't read through that rule book, it'll take a long time, here, I'll get you through. I know how to do this. I help teach for a living. Let me do this.
That's very cool. So back to me not messing up my original question. Do you have a personal favorite experience since you've been here so far at BGG.CON?
This year?
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you, this year or an overall?
Overall, my favorite at BGG.CON, I was there. They were at the older location. It was a much smaller location. I was working for Geek Chic at the time, and they had given away a table for the final drawing, and it was a surprise. So hearing that excitement and that roar come up out of the crowd when it was announced, it was really, it's like it was exciting. We deal in much smaller things here. The price points are smaller, so I don't get that same like roar out of the crowd as Steve Jackson Games.
As a table.
People saying, oh, I love Simon's Cat. I'm like, well, thank you. But there's a lot of people here who've made games. So it's special to me, but it's not as strong as like a whole, 1,000 people just exploding, basically. That's my favorite ever at a BGG.CON.
I was noticing, and we had one of our viewers is actually here in the black shirt, and we walked up to him, and he's like, "Oh, you got to make sure you come play with us because we got the good tables in the back." And those tables are actually quite pretty. Yeah,
and that's a different company this year, but it's another company that does custom tables. Go check them out. All that stuff, any of that in the industry, you're promoting the industry. You're this lifestyle, this hey, come play with us. That's what you're pushing for.
We We love it. That's kind of like the whole point of our stream is, hey, come play with us. It's one of our taglines. So, Nicole, is there any questions in chat?
Sorry, there's a delay, so I can't listen to it. There was one. Ask about Munchkin's CCG if possible.
Munchkin's CCG?
We're coming to the end of the development cycle on it. It's still, right now that we've got some press looking at it today, we don't have it out here on the floor for people to look at, but it is a CCG that's going to be coming out next year. In the humorous vein of Munchkin, it isn't Munchkin. It is in the humorous vein of Munchkin. A lot of the artwork will be reminiscent of Munchkin, but it will be much more filled out. Take a look at it, look it up online, see if it's what you're looking for. It is a CCG, which we haven't done in several years.
Okay.
Designed by Eric Lang and I can't remember the other name. There's another.
It's cool because I called this Gen.CON, so.
Right. I can't remember the other individual. Both of those two together working on this game, and we're doing we're helping them in house, getting that stuff ready. But it's going to be very interesting, and I hope anybody who's interested in CCGs or that type of thing, check it out, look it up online, see if it's for you, see if it's something you're interested in. I like the way it's coming along.
Is there a reason you guys have, because you said this is the first CCG that you've done in quite a while, is that intentional?
It's hard, yeah, CCGs are tough. You got to put in a lot of money into it, and then if it doesn't, not every CCG is a success. So once you put in all this money,
it may still not.
How's it going? And there were times there where it was kind of an ebb and flow of the CCG market. You can't compete against the biggest guys always. Sometimes you can, but in that market, especially Magic the Gathering was the huge monster. So when they were even having problems, it's time to really evaluate whether CCG is the right model. And it ebbs and flows, and we decided that this was the time that we could get back towards it. Because I believe Inwo was the CCG we did before.
What was it called?
Inwo. Look it up. Illuminati New World Order type of conspiracy card game thing they did. Not Deluxe Illuminati, but a different one.
Okay. Another question. Randy, my man, have you seen an On the Edge burger box hidden anywhere, propping up a table at the office, anywhere?
Yes, if you go online for Warehouse 23, I have seen burger boxes. I believe they were on the Edge burger boxes. Contact Warehouse 23 looking for it. They would be more than happy to get those to you. They like money for product, and that is product that's sitting there. So I do know what an On the Edge burger box looks like. I know there were some in the warehouse. I don't know if there still are. So contact Warehouse 23 for that.
Is there anything else you want to make sure that our viewers know before we sign off?
If you like the industry, support it. It is very tempting to always buy at the cheapest source. It's very tempting to always buy off of Amazon or wherever. Remember that if you're playing those down at your local shops, it costs money to keep those shops open. So they need money in some form. So I understand you can't spend all your money there, but you got to support the local shops that are doing good things for you, or they will go away. That is going to happen.
Do you guys have, some of the game publishers have preferred local game stores? Do you guys have anything like a list on that?
We have
on
a
your
store
site?
finder on our site that's actually very good, because we've made a point of not keeping stores that have been out of business in it. So a game store in any town,
That's
basically
the
in
most
the
frustrating
world.
thing, trying to find a game store and then you call the number and they're not
Right.
there. Or you go.
Our store finder they have to sign up for, and every 6 months they get an email that says, are you still in business? Is this still your information? And if they do not respond quick enough, they are deleted from the system.
That's
So if they
double-edged
respond,
sword. Maybe they don't respond quick enough, but it also means that you really have the responsive
Right.
people who are.
it means that sometimes I lose some stores that are there.
Right.
But a lot of times what it really means is stores that have gone out of business are no longer in that system. The store finder on our website, if you go to SJGames.com, there should be a little link for Gamer and Store Finder, and you can look through that and find stores in your area. And we've got them all over the planet, but it's U.S. Centric. I do a lot of work. We did a lot of work in the past, especially to make sure we get a lot of stores in there.
Nicole, any last minute questions?
Can I have a couple copies of Simon's Cat?
Yes, you may.
Do you want to get a picture? Would you be open to taking a picture so that we can put it up on our
I'm a terrible
social media?
cameraman, but I'll snap away. Let's do it. Yes, let's take a picture.
Take a picture. Okay.
Want me to get the,
She's got to take a few because I'm a girl, and that means I need like 5 to choose from.
Yeah, I got. This whole thing is a bad side some days, so.
and you want 8, right?
Uh-huh.
8.
Make sure you get horizontal and vertical. I know, Bill.
There's 3, you're good. Alright, and keep them in the table. I might have copies of Simon's Cat.
You want to play a game?
What was that? We can play a game.
You going to play a game?
Sure.
Okay.
We need
What do we
at
play?
least 3 people for Simon's Cat. So.
Where's Waldo?
And it plays best with about 4.
Well, you
How long
know,
is the game?
Simon's Cat, a round of it would be very quick.
can we grab somebody random who might be interested in going on stream? If I keep this here, is that got the whole table?
What?
Is the whole table in frame if I...
Yeah, I'll make sure it's in frame.
Okay, so I'm going to...
I was going to run off and I remembered. This is for you and you only. It is something that you can demo as much as you want to learn out. All right. As soon as you can, please come over to 55. Just text me. After this, I'll head up and all right.
Should we do 3 of us?
And that was Sam Mitchell.
Oh, you're not. You're the man that you
Well, he's here. They've got some meetings and stuff they're doing.
Nicole, can you check the mic and see if you can hear me?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Alright, can you do some tests?
Test. More testing. Can you hear me? I'm Italian and really loud. You really?
Alrighty.
Okay. So now you need to walk me through this.
You have a hand of cards.
I'm great. Okay.
This is all of the cards in the deck.
Okay.
There are 6 different suits. There will be the white cat, which is a pink card, the kitten, which is a blue set of cards, the mice, which are orange, dogs, which are purple, groundhogs, which are yellow, and then there are gnomes, which are green. Not every suit has the same amount of cards in it,
Okay.
and no 2 suits have the same numbered cards in it. A few suits start at 1 and count up, and then the other half of the suits start at 3 and count up.
Okay.
The way we play is whoever has the 3 of pink will go first, and they will play that card.
Whoever has the 3 of pink will go
3 of
first.
pink. If you have it, put it up.
I do.
Play will go around the table.
Okay. I'm gonna
We
sit
have
in
to
here.
play either a 3 or a pink card on this card.
Okay.
So match color or suit.
Okay.
Now I have to play a 4 or a pink card. I would like to play a 4.
Remind me again that you don't want to have...
Your goal is to always be able to play on these piles.
Because if not, then you're the one that gets blamed.
Right, you'll get blamed for that pile. And it's okay to take a pile, you just don't want to take the most number of piles.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, 4 of blue to me. I like that.
And we also have the book.
7 or blue.
7 or blue.
Okay.
5 of blue.
Okay.
10 of blue. 3. Well, we're going over to orange. 3 of orange. 3 of mouse.
I don't like orange.
3 of yellow. 8 of yellow. 7 of yellow. Now that will sit face up. Yeah, it'll sit face up right here.
Okay.
Everyone at the table knows your shame, and that is that you cannot deal with 7s or yellows.
Okay.
You will now pick any card you'd like from your hand and play it face up. We'll start the next hand.
It's gonna be a real quick game, guys.
All right, next. That's 2. And you just don't want the most, so. We know the counts of the cards, so we know what's going to happen here. But you had no choice in some of these. Play again. And I'm running to the end of mine, too. Lots of pink left.
This is getting rough.
This is where I flip the table, right?
It's I don't want to teach you any math here, but it's getting pretty tough for anyone else to take more than you. We'll play through the rest of it.
Oh man, this is rough.
Okay.
I had to take a...
It's the end of the game. There's always going to be something in the middle of the table. It's to prove whether I can play or not. Or the last person can play on the pile. So these are just left in the middle of the table because I was able to play on it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 0.
As an accountant, I feel like you got the most piles.
Yeah. That's wrong. I see where you're going there, and it's not going to work. So you would have one blame card.
Okay.
We shuffle up, we deal again, play the same thing out. Whoever winds up with those most piles the most times, let us say that you and I wound up with 3 in the next time and he only had 1. Mm-hmm. If we tie, both people who are tied for the most get a card.
Okay.
At any point, if someone has 3 of them, they have lost.
You lose.
More than one person can lose.
Do the other people continue to play after one person loses?
Nope. They just make
it.
fun of you for losing and play again.
Okay. Well, I didn't officially lose, right? Because I only got one blame.
You lost one hand, which is not losing the game.
So if I walk away from the table now,
It's an incomplete
walk away
game.
with my dignity.
I don't know about the dignity part, but you could definitely walk away. That's yeah, losing one hand is not a loss in this game. You would need to lose more than anyone else. So.
And since you have to make it up to 3, you still have quite a few rounds.
You've got time, and you didn't. We know the rules far better than you, and more importantly, in this, we know the card count. So things like there's only 2 green cards is an important bit of information to have if you have one of them, and there are only 3 ones is another important information to have.
There's only 111 and 112.
There's only 111, 112. There's things we know that you didn't have the information for. You were set up for failure.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, super duper.
Appreciate it.
But that's how it's played.
Thanks so much for letting us be here and be on your stream and take up your table and take up your time.
It's your stream. I don't have a stream. But thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope anybody who's interested in Simon's Cat goes and checks out the YouTube channel. They have a lot of videos out there. And then anyone who's interested in the game, go down to your local game store and pick it up. Go play with people down there. Get someone else playing games. It's not a solo item usually. You find a group and play with a group.
That's the best part of board games, is finding the community.
Yes, the communities are the strength of it, and that's really what you're trying to build. Thank you very much.
I didn't catch your name, but I'm going to thank you too.
I am Andreas.
Hi,
Andreas Stein.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for dropping by.
Thank you.
He is in charge of our volunteer program. So we have a volunteer program, and he wrangles our volunteers.
What is your volunteer program now that I'm extending?
It's called the Men in Black.
It can contain women as well.
Yeah, it can contain women. We call it the Men and Mrs. in Black now because, you know, modern culture. We're trying to be inclusive.
Very good.
Try to be very inclusive.
But it is individuals who we do not pay them in cash, but they'll go down to their local game store, they play our games, teach other people our games, and we pay them in points that they buy our games from us with. They get to keep those games to give away if they need to for prizes or for themselves. So it is a good way for us to promote games at local levels without. It's impossible for us to have that many employees.
Yeah.
So right.
Once again, building community.
I think it's great. It's absolutely great. Thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome.